Hi, welcome to Glow's Kindred Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Well, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I wanted to share something with you. I made some Portuguese sweetbread and with my fresh milled grains. And this particular one, I used hard red wheat and hard white wheat in it. I'm sure that some of you guys have purchased whole wheat flour in the stores before. I know I have. Never will again though. It tastes like cardboard. And every time I buy a bag of it, it just seemed like it would just sit in my cupboard because I would try it and it just had no flavor. And so I was just so glad when I decided to start this journey into milling my own grains and baking my breads. But I wanted to show you the crumb on this, how nice it is. And see how it bends so nicely?
Yep.
When you buy whole wheat flour in the store, you can't do that. It just doesn't, the crumb's not nice. It's not a soft bread. This bread is extremely soft. And so anyway, I'm going to take a bite of it.
It's great toasted and it fills you up too. A couple slices will fill you up.
This is so good. And you're right.
We had it for grilled cheese sandwiches the other night. It was good, really good.
It makes great dinner rolls. You can make
Hamburger
waffles.
buns.
You can make pancakes like I already have for you guys. It's just a wonderful bread and it's very healthy. Like if you have a slice in the morning, it'll hold me over until lunchtime. And before I would be hungry by, mid-morning. But if you're interested in learning how to do this, please join me over by my stove in my kitchen. And I'm going to show you how to do this step by step. Thanks again. Well, today I'm going to be making some Portuguese sweetbread, and I wanted to share that with you guys. This bread is just delicious, and I have made it for many years, probably 30 years. And it's just one of those breads that everybody seems to like. And I'm going to do it today with my fresh milled flour. And I wanted to share with you exactly from the beginning to the end on how I do this. And this is a very simple recipe. But to start with, you need your grains. And I have bought mine in a large quantity, as you can see here, through Sue Becker at Bread Becker's. And they're located in Georgia. And I'm very fortunate in my area. She offers a co-op where they deliver your grains to you. And the freight is like when I bought this and I bought some other stuff as well, the freight was only like $26.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And it was just incredible. If you had, when you mail it, even a small box today, it's $26. So,
at least.
Yeah. So she recommended also that we get these Gamma 2 lids.
Twist
They're
off
seal
lids.
lids, and they twist off.
Really?
When you get these buckets with the, you order them, and it comes with a regular white lid, but that lid is very hard to get off.
It is. I had to take them off.
Yeah, he took them off for us. Thank goodness, Richard. Because I probably would have had to get help to do that. And then you put this ring on, and you have to kind of hammer it on, and then this just twists on.
Yeah, it's really super easy.
One of the things she does is their company, they actually treat the grains with carbon dioxide. By doing that, they're getting rid of all those bugs and any kind of fungal stuff that might be on your grains. And these will keep like forever. And
as long as you put the lid back on.
Right. It's important to put your lids on. So I have 3 different kinds here. And the only reason I would know what is what by just looking is I decided to pick different colors.
Color coded.
Yep. So in this bucket, I have red hard wheat. I'll just use my hand. Look at that. And when I've only had these buckets now since February, I believe it was, the end of February.
Right.
Look how much I've already used. I cook or I bake bread at least once a week.
Yep.
And
They're 40-pound buckets when
yeah.
we picked them up.
And so I have my hard winter wheat in here. I have my hard white wheat in here. And then the blue one, I have my soft winter wheat, which is you use like in cookies and cakes and that type of thing. The two that are the hard ones, you need to have the extra protein in it to get that gluten going for your yeast spreads. But anyway, that's all there is to that. So what I'm going to do today, since I'm doing the Portuguese sweetbread, which is a yeast bread, I'm going to be using the hard red and the hard white wheat. And I'm going to be grinding up 3 cups of each. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this going, and then I'm going to meet you over by our mill. Well, here's my 6 cups of grains, and I have one hard, half of it is the hard red wheat and half is the hard white wheat. And what I did is I stirred it up. So, and the reason I did that is because when I mill this, then it's all going to be nicely combined in my canister. This is the canister that when I put the grains into here, into my grinder or my hopper, it's going to come out into my canister. And this mill is very fast. This is a stainless steel burr mill, and they're also stone mills. Both are very good, but the girls at Sue Becker's or Bread Becker's recommended that I started with this one, so I did, and I've been very happy with it. So
it's a wonder mill.
Yep. So anyway, what you need to do, in fact, I need to put my glasses on or I won't be able to see this part. There's a little arrow, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it right there. And see that little red arrow there? They have to line up.
Right.
And that keeps that secure on there. And that's kind of like a filtration type thing. And there's a little sponge here, and it keeps the flour from coming out and going all over the place. That's one of the features. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click this on, and you're going to hear a click. If you don't hear that, you know this top's not on here good, and you are going to have a mess.
We have a cloud in the kitchen.
You will. And it's not a cloud like you have outside. You're going to have flour.
All over the clothes.
So this tube goes into this right here.
Portal.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and take this part off too. So what you need to do is to line this up and just push it in. So now I'm going to kind of turn it here. But you need to make sure that this is secure, because otherwise you're going to have a mess coming out here, on the side by the hopper. So there are, certain things that I'm just trying to help you so you don't have a mess. I haven't had a mess, but it was because I watched videos on this.
Read the directions.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of looked through my grains to make sure there weren't, anything in here that shouldn't belong. I can tell you that these grains that well, here's a lentil right here. Doesn't happen very often though. No, that's not it. It's right here. Although that won't taste bad in there, because I've made breads with all kinds of different grains. But I'm going to pull it out. But her grains are very clean. So what you want to do first is turn this on. And the maximum that you can put in here as far as these grain goes is about 8 cups. So you don't want to do more than that, or it's going to overfill, and then it'll be a mess.
And it'll back up into the hops.
Yeah, it sure will. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. But if you don't hang on to it, it will move. So I'm going to turn it on. Will not use all this flour that I'm grinding, but I'll use it during the week. I wish you could smell this. This smells really good. shouldn't be there, but it wasn't. Here's one more little lentil.
I just stand there reading it, didn't make it.
Towards the end. The reason I do that is some of these grains will start to pop a little, and you don't want them flying all over. And then you let it run for like, 10 to 20 seconds afterwards. That's cleaning your blade. So, kind of sounds like an engine on a plane to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that's all there is to it. This is one of the faster mills on the market for home use. The stone mills are a little slower. Like this probably, I think, took 3 minutes to do this. Whereas some of them it could take, twice as long, 3 times as long. It just depends on your mill and also how coarse you're going to be grinding or how fine you're going to be grinding. I have mine set in the middle here, in between pastry and bread. And I have found that works best for me for breads. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take this apart. You will see that there's a little bit of flour that's left in your chute here.
Right.
But not much. See? So that's part of cleaning it, afterwards. You want to clean that. But I won't show you that part today. I just thought I'd show a little bit of it. I'm going to move this over here for a moment. Now I'm just going to close this up. Now, if you were here and you felt this canister, it's warm. And that's because this mill grinds so fast that your grain, gets warm and your flour will be warm. So you kind of want to let it cool a little. But you can see here, if I had 2 more cups in here, that would probably be the maximum for sure that you would want to put in here.
Yep.
But this, I'm going to show you, my hands are clean. See how nice that flour is? And it smells so good. And you guys, this is so much healthier for us. You have the bran in it. You have the endosperm. You have the germ. It's just, I can't speak enough about the health factors in grinding your own grains.
It is good.
Yeah.
Especially toasted.
And everybody that has this, that I have shared this with so far, since I've been doing this, loves it. So there's just no comparison between this and store-bought bread, unless they're freshly grinding their grains.
Right.
Now, if I don't use up all this flour today, I need to put this in whatever I have left into the freezer. Reason being, as soon as you mill your flour, it's already starting to lose some of its nutrients. But by putting it in the freezer, you're retaining that. So,
good tip.
Yep. So this is definitely a learning curve, and I will share with you guys as much of my knowledge as I have, and I have a lot more to learn. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get things set up for us to make our bread. So I'll be back in just a little bit.
Sounds good, Miss Glow.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on mixing our bread. And this takes a few steps. So we'll just take it a step at a time, and you'll find that this is really easy to do because you have your mixer that is your helper. And with fresh milled flour like we're using today, I have kneaded it by hand, but it's a lot of work. So unless you're up to, doing that for a good 20 to 30 minutes, you might want to get yourself a good mixer. So anyway.
I'll borrow somebody's.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you'd want to borrow it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So anyway, this is the Portuguese sweetbread. I've had this recipe for years. To be honest, I don't know what cookbook it came out of. This was given to me. And it does say at the bottom, white and cheese breads. And there's a little blurb here about the lady who was from Portugal, who was trying to come up with recipes like she was used to, and in Portugal. And I got to tell you, if I've had a few baked goods from that are Portuguese, and they're awesome. This is awesome. So what it calls for, and I'm doubling this recipe. I'm doubling the large one. Wow. I'm going to be making a loaf today for my dad, and also a loaf for a friend that asked for me to make him a loaf of bread for his family. So it calls for 7/8 cup of milk. So I'm doing 1 3/4 because that's a double. And then it calls for 2 tablespoons of margarine or butter. Well, I don't use margarine, so I have butter. So I put 4 tablespoons in because I'm doubling it. And 4 eggs instead of 2. There's 1/3 cup of sugar it calls for. So I'm doing 1/3 cup of the raw cane sugar, and also 1/3 cup of maple syrup. And this is so good in it. And it calls for salt. It'll be 2 teaspoons that'll go in, and then 6 cups of flour, of my bread flour that we just milled. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I put in, I warmed this up in my microwave for 2 minutes. Now my microwave's pretty strong. I did it at full power, but I would not have gone over the 2 minutes. So, everybody's microwave's a little different. So just, you know what your microwave does. Like for example, if I'm gonna melt some butter in my microwave, I do it like for 20 seconds on power level 4 or 3. Because otherwise I'm going to end up with a mess. That's how strong my microwave is. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just pour this in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this up. That's to, raise it up. So I have let me raise it or lower it again. I wanted to show this to you guys. This is the kneader. And that's what you want to use. You don't want to use a whisk or a paddle. Like here's my paddle that I use like for cookies and stuff. You don't want that. And you definitely don't want this. You want to use your dough hook.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and raise this back up. I'm going to put in my sugar. Now I'm going to measure out I have this already set for 1/3 cup on here. I'm using the plunger side instead of the liquid side. The reason I'm doing that though is because I don't want to waste this. Maple syrup and honey are both very expensive, and you just don't want to waste. And by doing this in the plunger, when I plunge it, I get all of it. And I'm going to use the back side of my knife here to get the rest. Let's see?
Yep.
A lot less waste. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Oh, got to plug it in. That would help, wouldn't it, you guys?
It would help.
That's just a safety thing for me. I do not put in, my kneader or whatever unless my mixer's off.
Unplugged.
Yep. So I have it on 2. That's what the directions for my mixer say. This is going to be kneading for a good 20 minutes by the time we're all done here with this step. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my eggs slowly. The reason I'm doing it slowly is because of that warm milk.
So don't get hooked on that thing.
And also it calls for, I think it was 1 teaspoon, so I need 2 teaspoons of salt. And this is the salt I'm using. And I've been using it for a while. This salt is has all the minerals and everything in it still. It's supposed to be a lot healthier for you. So in my breads and stuff, I figure if I'm using, you know, the fresh ground grains and stuff, I'm trying to keep this as healthy as I can. So, right. And this is delicious salt. There's all different kinds of salt out there, and I've got several different kinds here that I use. But that one is probably one of the healthier ones that I ran across with me. I'm just going to move this stuff out of the way as we're going. So we've got in the milk, the eggs, the butter, the sugar, the salt, and now we're going to be putting the flour in. So let me turn this off first. Because I found, at least with my KitchenAid, if I put my flour in without my chute, it doesn't seem to go in correctly. And it doesn't mix up as well. So I figured I probably should do it the way this was designed. And this is the way it was designed, and it does work better. So let me turn it just so you can see.
Thank you.
But I'm going to have to turn it this way for me to be able to pour it in. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back on too. You know, each gear has its own sound too. So I wasn't looking at it, but I could hear it. And that tells me, you know, if I sped that up, it would be a different sound altogether.
Well, I can see it. It's on too.
So anyway, we're going to go ahead and slowly add in about 6 cups of flour. For some reason, this isn't. There we go. Oh, much better.
You didn't have it lined up right.
Right. Can you see down in there, Richard?
Yes.
Okay.
Looks good. Well.
It's the last one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my spatula. I'm going to turn this off for a minute, and I'm going to push this flour down in here. Now, don't get me wrong. I like my KitchenAid, but there are mixers on the market that I think would probably be easier to make your breads with than this. And you do need a mixer that's got a strong motor, or you're going to be burning it up real quick. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that flour is not stuck on the bottom and on the sides. There we go. Now I'm just going to scrape that off so we don't want to waste. I'm going to put this back on. This back on. There. And I'm going to turn it back on. That's 1. That's 2. I can tell just by the sound.
Yep.
So I'm going to let this just mix around for a few more minutes. And then I'll be back and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Well, it's been a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. I'm going to remove this, the chute. And what I'm going to do now is I have a hot flour tea towel here, flour sack. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this around so it keeps some of the heat in. Let me lower this.
That would help. That would help.
Oh, I got it.
Take your time.
Well, I'm just not going to use that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around. By doing that, it's going to keep the moisture in. And this is going to set here for 20 minutes. Hydration is the key when you're using fresh milled flour. And I learned that kind of the hard way. I thought, oh, hydration, I'll do like 10 minutes, it'll be fine. No, you want to do a good 15 to 20 minutes. I also wanted to show you here too. See how wet that dough looks? You're probably thinking, that's never going to make bread. Yes, it will. And just remember that hydration is the key, because this bran and the germ is going to be soaking up all that moisture during this time. So I'll see you back in about 20 minutes.
See you then.
Well, this has been hydrating now for 20 minutes. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, but you can see the condensation even on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a bread baker and you look down in here, you're going to be going, she doesn't have enough flour in there. But I really think I do. I could add a little extra flour. We'll see as it's going. But the other thing is, you guys thought, well, what is she doing? She didn't put any yeast in there. That's because while it's hydrating, I don't put the yeast in. I put it in after it's hydrated before I knead. So this recipe, since I'm doubling it, it's going to take 4 teaspoons, which is 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my mixer back on. It's on 2, right, Richard?
Yes.
Okay.
Careful, there, Miss Cole.
Okay, there we go. So this is going to knead for at least 20 minutes. And how you can tell when it's ready is all that dough is going to pull away from the sides of your bowl, and it's going to be come like a ball in the center, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and let this continue to knead here. I don't need this on here anymore. I will put this probably back on here. I probably don't even need to do that. But one of the things too, if you're going to be making a lot of bread, I bought a large container. This one is almost 16 ounces. And I actually got this through Bread Becker's as well. And before that, all along, I have used Bob's Red Mill yeast. But I ran out of it yesterday, so this took up a pint plus half a pint. And I will keep these in my freezer. When you keep stuff like this in your freezer, the shelf life is a lot longer. So anyway, I'll see you back in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, it's been 20 minutes, and you can see where the dough has started to pull away from the sides.
Right.
But now I need to check what they call window painting. And what that is to see how elastic your dough is. So when I pull that, you want to have your hands kind of wet when you're doing this too. You should be able to pull this and have like a window. It's not quite there yet. I mean, you have some elasticity, yes, but not enough to have a really good, loaf of bread. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knead this some more, probably a good 10 minutes more, but this is a very important step. So I'll be back.
Okay.
Well, it's kneaded for another 5 minutes. Now let's check it. I dampened my hands a little. Oh yeah, see how you can stretch this now?
Yes.
Let's keep on stretching and we'll see how much we can before it breaks. That's really good. Look at that. You can see my finger through it.
Yes.
Let's see. But that's what you want, that elasticity. That's going to make some great bread. So anyway, I'm going to wash my hands here. I'll be back, and we're going to be proofing this or letting it rise, and I'll tell you how I do that. So I took the bowl off of my mixer, took the dough hook off, and here's my dough. Isn't that beautiful?
Looks good.
So what I do is I'm going to just put a little bit of this sauteing olive oil. You want to use kind of a neutral oil so it doesn't take on that flavor. And you use whatever neutral oil you have that you like. And I'm going to put a little in the bottom as well of the bowl. And the reason I'm doing this is I am going to be letting this rise. And you want to, some people leave it on their counter. There's many ways to do that. Always cover it though. But what I have found works really good for me is my microwave. I have warmed up a cup of water in there and, brought it almost to boiling, and it's been sitting in there a while. And what it does is it creates this wonderful moisture-filled space that's warm. So I found that works for me. So what I do, you can cover it with a towel, whatever you want, but I just choose a plate and just put that over. So I'm going to wash my hands, go over and put this in my microwave, and then for it to do the first rise, it's going to take probably 40 minutes or so. So I'll check it in about 35, 40 minutes and we'll see, but the goal is you want it to double in size. So anyway, the nice thing about doing it like this in steps is you can do so many different things around your house. I've been doing laundry, cleaning, and just whatever you want. So you're not a slave to this at all. It's just, it takes over a certain amount of time, yes, but not that whole time. So, and at the end, you're going to have a wonderful smelling house. So anyway, we'll be back. Well, our dough has proofed, or rose, and look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Looks nice.
So now, if I didn't mention before, when you get to this point, make sure you take your jewelry off. It just makes it much easier and cleaner. So what I'm going to do first is this is my olive oil. I'm going to just put a little bit on my counter. Now you can use like a breadboard, whatever you want. I have found for myself this works best. So I went ahead and I poured some olive oil in both of my pans, and just before I put them in the dough into the pans, I will use my pastry brush to brush that oil around. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just taking my hand and spreading that oil around. And that's going to also help me here to remove this dough. Here, let's move it over here so you guys can see. Isn't that beautiful?
Looks nice. You're going to pull the bowl towards me a little bit, or so I can see it on the counter. I can see that.
Okay. So I'm going to just look at that. See how elastic it is? Oh, that's beautiful. Yep. Let me just get the last part of it. This makes the best bread. There we go. So what you want to do first is just kind of get it in a shape that's going to work best. And you need a bench scraper or a knife or something. And what you want to do is you're going to cut this in half. Or you can weigh it if you want to weigh it. Now the pans I'm using, this one is a little bit smaller than this one. Not by much though. So by eyeing this, let's see which one we think is smaller. Which one do you think is smaller of the two?
The one towards me, maybe.
Is smaller? Okay, so
it looks bigger on the camera, but it's...
Yeah, they're pretty close to the same, actually. So,
my angle,
but when I feel that, I don't think so. So I'm going to take a little bit of this dough.
It's hard to tell from this
Yeah.
camera angle.
So what I do, and you can use a scale and weigh it if you want to be real precise, but for just 2 loaves of bread, I'm not going to worry about it. So what I do is I spread it out, and why I'm doing that is I want to get these air bubbles out. Like, see, you can see that air bubble right there?
Right.
I want to get rid of that. I think I need a little bit more oil. I'll have to wash this off for sure after I'm done. Yeah, that's better. So after I get that spread out like that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it over like that. Then I'm going to take this corner and turn it over here, kind of like triangles, if you will. And then I'm going to do it here and here. And make sure your counter is clean, by all means, when you're doing this.
Of course.
I think I need a little bit more oil. Yeah, that's better. So, now what you want to do is you're going to shape this. So I just go like this, and then I go like that. Let's see what the bottom part looks like. Wow, this is a little sticky still. And your dough will change depending on the weather also, you guys. So you just have to kind of play with it. All right, so now I'm just gonna take this. And I'm just spreading that olive oil that I already put in there around. I'll take my pan, put it close, and just drop it in. There. So I'm going to do the second one here, and then I'll be back and after I get it in the pan, and then I'll tell you what the next step is. Well, our bread is ready to go ahead and be proofed again. So what I did is I reheated that cup of water I have in there as soon as I took out my dough. And so it's nice and warm in there again. I'm going to put these 2 pans in it and cover it with my tea towel. And it should be in there probably 35 to 45 minutes. So we'll be back after that's done, and they need to rise up to about the top of the pans. Well, I just took these out of my microwave from proofing. Look how beautiful these are.
Very nice.
My oven is preheated to 350 degrees, but after I put these in, I'm going to be turning my temperature down to almost 325 because these are glass and stone. So anyway, this will probably take anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes, but these are a little bigger, so I'm guessing it's more like the 30 to 35. So I'll be back and we'll see what they look like.
Sounds good, Miss Glow.
Well, I just took the bread out of the oven. Look how good that looks.
Looks and smells good.
Oh, this house smells wonderful. I love baking bread because it just makes the house smell so good all the time. Let me show you the other one here too.
Yep, looks good.
So I wanted to share with you too, if you guys don't like a real, like kind of a nutty flavor to your bread, then you can use all hard white wheat. You don't have to do the red half, and do half and half. If you really like nutty, then you could do all hard red. Or you could do like, 2/3 one and 1/3 the other. it's your kitchen. You can just kind of play with that. There are so many grains that you can select from. And as we continue with this channel, I'll be sharing a lot more videos for you guys on using the different grains. But anyway, I want to thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.